So, who was I before this? What was I like?
When I look back to before my diagnosis, I could honestly say I lived life with no fears. I lived life on the edge.
I would say, and I think a lot of people that know me would say, I was more confident. I was a lot more social, a lot more outgoing. I was more likely to try new things, to say yes to new opportunities. I used to be a lot more spontaneous. Like now I'm not spontaneous at all.
I used to be so social. I lived in Austin. I would be out and about. I'd be making friends everywhere I went. I used to feel so free and so independent.
I was more interactive with people. I was more outgoing, engaging. Now I'm more introverted. I stayed home a lot.
The main difference is in my general confidence, particularly my confidence in my physical abilities.
I like to think of myself as a humorous person. I like to tell jokes. I like to be the funny person in the room. And I had to stop laughing. It hurt to laugh. It hurt to smile.
Before I became quadriplegic, I led a life that I loved and with no regrets.
What I have are these almost like stories in my head. They're not real concrete memories. So I don't honestly know much about who I was before the stroke.
I thought the one thing that made me a good coach was sort of my enthusiasm for the sport and my enthusiasm. That was the thing that always sort of drove me, was like being enthusiastic. I thought if I had to if you're familiar with John Wooden's pyramid of success, right? One of his two main pillars are enthusiasm and cooperation. It's the only thing I remember from John Wooden pyramid of success. So I was Mr. Enthusiastic, which I thought made me a good coach. It allowed me to deal with all the physical challenges and the hours and the demands, as well as I just thought I was I thought that allowed me to motivate the rowers that I work with. So I don't feel I can do that anymore. I can't bring that energy anymore. I just can't do. I can do it, but the thought of it makes me exhausted, just thinking about what I would have to do to be that person again.
I had to deal with being afraid to let go of my attachments to a role or career that I previously imagined. Since the initial diagnosis, I have become more surrendered to this change and open to what other possibilities await me.
One of the things I had to do because of the nature of, not having the same memories or your same understanding of who you were, is that I essentially mourned myself. I looked at it as I didn't make it through the stroke. I died that day. And I'm someone new, and I still have the same family members and everything, but I had to mourn that person. I had to, essentially go in and look at a funeral. I don't know much about this guy, but I know that he was important to me and everyone around me.
And I'm a lot more patient with myself than I ever was. I was so mean to myself, and I think about it sometimes, and the way that I talked to myself, I wouldn't talk to anybody that I care about that way. And realizing that has helped just a whole lot.
I had built my identity and based all of my value on what I could do for other people. As a mom, a wife, a nurse, a friend, a daughter, a sister, and so on. I never gave myself grace.
I always was a kind of a perfectionist and would allow perfect to get in the way of good enough, and I'm still that way, but the difference now is that I seem to be a little bit more aware, conscious of when I see myself doing that, and I'm more able to stop myself and just let good enough work and be all right with it.
I was a perfectionist. I was very, very wrapped up with being concerned about how I may have been perceived, Was I blank enough, right? Like, was I pretty enough, or was I thin enough, or was my hair straight enough, or was my skin clear enough, or was I making enough money, or was I getting good enough grades? Like, all of those feelings of perpetually not being enough really drove my desire for perfectionism, and my desire to put out to the world that I was more together than I actually was and actually felt on the inside.
Prior to going through the whole process of being diagnosed and having all these crazy symptoms and going to different doctors and all that stuff, I worried more about what people thought of me, the people I loved especially, but even random people that I dealt with throughout the day, strangers, I would worry more.
I just don't care as much anymore. I don't care about what people think. I don't really need it to feel acceptable in public.
I still have this sort of people pleaser part of me that constantly tries to come out and constantly tries to think of other people, and I just want to help them and alleviate their problems or their pain. And I think since my illness, I've had to refocus some of that self-care and some of that energy away from other people. I've had to make decisions, them or me, but before I would have picked them.
With Parkinson's, it's like with a degenerative condition, like I guess I think a lot of times, like, this is the best I'm going to be now. This moment I'm going to be better. I'm better now physically and mentally than I am going to be in 5 minutes or 10 minutes or hopefully longer. But like, this moment now is the best I'm going to feel. So it definitely gives you a sense of like trying to appreciate the moment, you know, like when I'm with my wife or with my dog or something like that. So
the problem with my situation is, from the inside looking out, I feel like I've always been. But like, if I see a film of myself, then I'm like, wow, that guy's messed up. I got to see myself as it was before. But in fact, I look at film on me, man, God's got a long way to go.
Someone showed me some photos of me at a conference, and I looked at it and I went, this woman is really disabled. I was shocked that it was me. I was hunched over in my wheelchair, and I went, oh my God, I really am disabled. So now I'm really concentrating on mindfulness and meditation and looking at ways to take joy in other people's happiness and their travels, their adventures, stuff that I can't do, as I do not want to live a life of jealousy and resentment, which is so easy to fall into.
In my state of being, I can be just as influential, if not more so, than I could have writing prescriptions as a doctor. A great quote from a Paul Selig book helped solidify it for me. The vibration you hold is how you serve. We're all open pianos, so come resonate with my peace and love chord.
I've become willing to accept help rather than always being the doer, the helper, which has been a big step for me. I realized that not accepting help robs somebody of the opportunity to use their gift, their spiritual gifts of helpfulness, of love, grace.
I felt so much despair, and like I was floating for so long without knowing who I was. And then when I was able to mourn myself and who I was, it didn't matter, because it doesn't matter who I was, it's who I am.
But I'm getting to the point that
because of the condition of my heart being in such a place of healing, I don't need my body to be healed anymore. And I want to be able to spread that joy and that hope and that trust that I have to other people in the unfixed community with broken bodies and even broken spirits, to know that your body doesn't have to be fixed in order for your heart to be healed and for you to walk through this life with joy and with hope.
Reflection reveals that my life is a sacred dance. The highs, the lows, the twists and turns, and full circle moments, when strung together, creates a perfectly choreographed display of beauty from chaos.
One thing that I think that the perspective that chronic illness has given me is the gratitude to just be thankful for the fact that I'm here to experience life amidst all of its imperfections and amidst all of the chaos and amidst the laundry on the sofa and the dogs in the background and whatever life brings me.
What's really interesting to think about is that I have a chronic illness now. I've been diagnosed and I'm healthier than I was in every possible way. Now that I can accept a lot of the feelings that I have, I'm able to turn it into something and use those feelings and use them to make something good.
What everybody writes about, the best poets, the best spiritual teachers, about kindness and love being the most important, are true. It's hard to live that way every day when you're a neurotic old lady. That's what I'm doing.
I'm not saying chronic illness and chronic pain and disease are not difficult, and some people lose themselves in it. But eventually, a lot of us, with help and with a lot of willpower and strength, are able to really look at what the illness has done for us, not what it has done to us.